Hey y'all, hope you're having a great day. I'm out here again at my promised ranch, this little piece of land, piece of earth that we get to call home, Promise Ranch. And y'all come see us. Y'all come see us sometime. I'm sitting out here in my camper. It's my little cabin of peace right now. I just love coming out here to pray and study and talk to you. So today I want to finish, well, okay, maybe not finish, but here's another part, another session on the series entitled I Am Not a Victim, I Am a Victor. And I am just praying that we really get this down in our spirit, because I know that for me it was completely life-changing. So just to recap, if you're just joining us, we went over the fact that if we're ever going to grow or become better or even heal, if we're ever going to do any of these things, then we have to get this truth down in our core, and we have to believe it and we have to live it. And that is, I am not a victim, I am a victor. I am not a victim, I am a victor. And the statement that I have said in every one of these sessions, but it kind of sums it up, is as long as I see what has come to pass in my life as unfair, I will always be a prisoner of what might have been. And that is the core of what we're talking about. The lens through which we see life, our perspective, the way we view things that have happened to us. As long as I see what has come to pass in life as unfair, I will always be a prisoner of what might have been. And we talked about, I think it was in last session, the foundation for all personal development and growth is based on the question, who is ultimately responsible for the quality of my life? Who is ultimately responsible for the quality of your life? And we went through a list. If you missed it, go back and watch it. We went through a list of all kinds of people and things that we may think are responsible for the quality of our lives. But ultimately, if you remember, I explained that if our answer to that question is anything other than me, then I'm stuck in some area of my life. I may not be stuck overall or in general, but I am stuck somewhere in my life. In some area, I am stuck in victim mentality. And a victim mind will get victim results every single time. Now, I believe that we talked about this last time too. Once you have been victimized, I do not trivialize, I do not minimalize things that have happened to you or to me. Once you have been victimized, someone violated you against your will, you had no control over it, maybe someone betrayed you, maybe you were fired with no legitimate reason, you might have been accused or even convicted of something you didn't do. Perhaps you were abused, raped, violated, incestual relationship. It happened. It was beyond your control. And I came to tell you, it was not your fault. It was not your fault. But what happens is, once you are victimized, it then leaves you, and it leaves me with an incredibly important choice that I have to make. And only I can make it, and only you can make that choice. And that's where we left off last session, I believe, is once you have been victimized, you then have to answer the question, now, what will I do with what has happened to me? What will I do with it? What will you do with what has happened to you? Because this is a very important choice to make at a very important juncture in your life. And it may feel like you have no choices, but you do. And you have to decide. You have to decide, what will I do with what has happened to me? I have found that the only successful method of change is taking full responsibility and taking full ownership of my life and the things that have happened. Now, I know those little voices are going off in your head again, and they're saying, how can I take responsibility for something I didn't even do? I didn't do this to myself. They did this to me. It's not even my fault. Like you said, it's not my fault. So how can I take ownership and responsibility for something I didn't do? Well, here's the real issue with talking that kind of talk. First of all, that type language is completely self-defeating, because what it does is it takes the power out of your hands. It takes the power out of my hands, and it hands it right back to the abuser. And that's just not okay. That's not something we want to do. Secondly, it gives us a very invalid and incorrect definition of the term taking responsibility. The correct definition of taking responsibility is simply not allowing anything that has happened to you or to me. I'm not going to allow it to define me, to stop me, or to become a barrier that keeps me from my divine destiny. I'm not going to do it. That a very important definition and distinction that we have to make is the difference between responsibility and blame. To say it's my responsibility is not the same thing as to say it's my fault or I am the one to blame. Blame is to find fault with, but responsibility is to take ownership of what is rightfully mine. How I respond to what has happened to me. That's responsibility. Responsibility is how I choose to respond to what I've been given, to the cards I've been dealt. So now, with those correct definitions in mind, let me repeat it again. The only successful method of change is taking full responsibility and full ownership. I believe that the sign of growth and maturity is when we take full ownership and responsibility for every single reaction in our life. I can't always choose what happens to me, but I can always respond. I can always choose how I respond to what has happened to me. Maybe you're thinking right now of certain relationships or friendships that have hurt or wounded you and left you feeling like a victim. I just want to reiterate, we can't always control what someone does to us, but we can always control how we react to what has been done to us. And when you learn to take back that power, when you learn to take that control that maybe over time, maybe through the years, you have given away, I am telling you, it's the most empowering feeling you can ever feel. The simple revelation that I have received that has changed my life is I can't change another human being. I had to face that. I had to deal with that. I had to accept that. I can't change anybody else. But there's so much more power in the knowledge of, but I can change me. And I am the only person I can change. That's freedom, because it frees me from spending all my time trying to change somebody else and coming back empty-handed and feeling like a failure because I can't do it. I'm a failure at it. We cannot change other people. We can only change ourselves. And when we continually give away our power to someone else, I allow them to dictate how I feel and how I see myself. And that's just not something I want to give away. Oh, they were nice to me today, so I feel happy. He complimented me today, so I feel pretty. He asked me out, so I must be worthy. They invited me to their party, so I must be cool. No, no, no. Come on. Come on. That's victim mentality. And you're giving up your control and the control of your responses to someone else. We don't want to do that. Maybe you're thinking of circumstances that you've had to deal with, that you've had to live with your whole life, that has led you to maybe blaming the family you grew up in, or blaming genetics. Maybe you blame, you believe it's the fault of society or the media or the political system, or the breaks you didn't get, or the connections you didn't have, or the life you were born into, or the things you saw growing up. Do all those things leave imprints? Yes, they do. Lasting imprints. But am I forever a victim of the imprints that have been left on my life by family or society or environment? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm more than an overcomer. The Word of God is full of those promises. Through Christ, with Christ, I am more. I am more than all that. I am responsible for how I react and I respond to every single thing that happens. And I came to tell you today that taking responsibility and assuming ownership of all these areas in our lives is a huge step in the right direction for amazing and positive change in our lives. We're going to get there, and we're going to get there together. So thank you for tuning in today. And I'll post some music a little bit later on, and maybe walk around out there and show you guys the horses a little bit later today. It's been raining around here, so I haven't been able to do that for the last couple days, but I'm so excited to have you join. Make sure you subscribe. Tell someone else to subscribe. Check us out on Instagram, website, all that good stuff, Facebook, all that. But thank you for tuning in. I love you, and we are going to get through this together. All right. God bless.